In 2018, a policy change removed the requirement for prior experience in airport operations. And soon after, one corporate group won all 6 airports up for bid. In 2023, restrictions on solar plants near India's border with Pakistan was gradually erased. And soon after, that same group secured the largest piece of land in that very project. A proposed anti-monopoly safeguard in India's ambitious grain storage program was dropped. And once again, lo and behold, that same group emerged as the biggest beneficiary. Now, one instance could be coincidence, two might be good luck. But when the same pattern appears across sectors, it becomes hard to ignore. The group at the center of all this, if you still haven't guessed, is Adani. Now, governments have offered their own justifications for these decisions. And Adani Group, of course, has consistently denied receiving any preferential treatment. In this episode, I'll give you 4 examples. And then we ask the big question, are we witnessing a remarkable run of business success, or are we seeing how political power shapes markets, policy, and opportunity for just one group in Modi's India? Let me explain. Now, every week I tell you independent media matters. That if you value journalism that asks difficult questions, then you have to help sustain it. But just think about what you're watching. The stories that we and other independent media tell you takes time and resources. Increasingly, newsrooms around the world are finding it difficult to do that. Many have shut down, others have cut back on reporting. Now, we don't want that to happen here. Our biggest strength is our independence. And that independence comes from people like you. So don't just skip this part, but become a part of our news process. Take a monthly subscription of the News Minute and News Laundry for just 500 rupees. Or if you like the show, you can contribute any amount of your choice and support Let Me Explain. Let Me Explain has gotten closer to you. We now have an LME WhatsApp channel. What do you get when you follow this? Well, for one, this is where my producer takes a dig at me by putting together bloopers and behind-the-scene videos. We also send you personalized explainers, things that don't make it to LME video every week. But most importantly, we also have recommendations from Team LME, things that we think you should read, watch, or listen to. So what are you waiting for? Scan this QR code and follow the Let Me Explain channel. In May 2026, journalist Astha Sabyasachi published an investigation for News Laundry. It uncovered an unusual story about the Food Corporation of India, that's the FCI. The story looked at how the FCI was modernizing the way grain is stored across the country. Now, instead of relying on traditional warehouses, FCI planned to build a nationwide network of modern steel silos linked by rail and road. The project was worth thousands of crores and would help determine who controls a critical part of India's food logistics infrastructure. And this would determine it for decades to come. Now, according to the investigation, FCI officials initially wanted safeguards to prevent monopoly. But Niti Aayog and the Department of Economic Affairs opposed the anti-monopoly provision, and it was eventually removed. In the years that followed, Adani Agri Logistics emerged as one of the program's largest beneficiaries. Just look at this. In 2022, they won 70 of the 80 contracts. That's 87.5% of all Phase 1 silos. Now, the project is worth 9,713 crores. FCI has rejected allegations of favoritism and has said that the bidding process was transparent. Now, on its own, this might have looked like a routine policy dispute. But what made the story newsworthy is that it echoed a pattern that critics of the Modi government have pointed to for many years now. It fits a broader trend. State decisions which end up strengthening the position of the same conglomerate. One of the clearest examples of this came in India's airport sector. In 2018 and 2019, the Modi government launched one of the largest airport privatization drives in India's history. But before the auctions, key bidding rules were completely changed. Until then, companies were required to have prior experience in airport management. That requirement was removed. Another big change allowed a single bidder to win multiple airports instead of limiting how many can be awarded to one company. Now, the government argued that these changes would broaden participation and make auctions more competitive. But the outcome was striking. The Adani enterprise, which had absolutely no prior experience operating airports, emerged as the winner of all 6 airports that was up on offer. That's Ahmedabad, Lucknow, Mangaluru, Jaipur, Guwahati, and Thiruvananthapuram. Now, the auctions themselves were conducted through a formal competitive bidding process. But the sequence of events? As usual, the rules were changed, the field was open to new entrants, and the company that benefited the most was Adani. The Khavda Renewable Energy Project sits in Gujarat's Kutch district, close to the India-Pakistan border. Now, because of their strategic location, large areas near the border have historically been subject to tighter restrictions on construction and commercial activity. The Guardian, the News Minute, and Scroll reported that the Gujarat government had allotted 23,000 hectares of land in Kutch to the Solar Energy Corporation of India, that is the SECI. The land was allotted as part of a large renewable energy park. But the land was close to India's border with Pakistan, and defense restrictions meant that the SECI could build wind turbines on the land but not solar panels. In April 2023, the Defense Ministry agreed to relax the restrictions, and though SECI could have gone ahead with the work, 3 months later, the firm surrendered the land to Adani Group. The Adani Group now holds 445 square kilometers of land in the park. That's the largest allocation of land in that solar park. The Godda power project in Jharkhand was unusual from the outset. It was a 14,800 crore rupee coal-fired power plant built primarily to supply electricity not to India but to Bangladesh. Most of India's power sector regulations had been designed around generating electricity for domestic consumption and not exporting large volumes of power to a neighboring country. That created a number of regulatory and policy challenges. Now, according to reporting by the Indian Express, a series of government decisions over several years helped clear these hurdles and make the project viable. Now, first, the government changed the rules for importing and exporting electricity. The Central Electricity Authority then proposed measures to make it easier for electricity to flow across borders. In October 2025, the Modi government approved a proposal from Adani Power Limited, that's the APL. This allowed APL to connect its Godda power plant to the Indian electricity grid. The government also gave APL powers under the Indian Telegraph Act of 1885. Now, these powers are usually given to telegraph authorities. They allowed the company to place infrastructure needed for transmission lines, such as poles and cables. Here too, a familiar pattern was pointed out. Regulatory obstacles were gradually removed. The project moved forward, and one of the principal beneficiaries was, of course, the Adani Group. Not every advantage comes from subsidies, tax breaks, or changes in bidding rules. Sometimes it comes from how quickly a project moves through the approval process. And that's exactly what was reported by Article 14 on a series of Adani green energy projects in Maharashtra's Western Ghats. Article 14 reported that the Environment Ministry granted preliminary approvals for 3 pumped storage hydropower projects. These approvals were given between late 2022 and early 2023. These 3 projects were worth around 19,000 crores. They were located in ecologically sensitive areas of the Western Ghats. The project received key early approvals from the government. This happened even though environmental experts had raised many concerns about their potential impact. Now here's the catch. The timing stood out. The approvals came soon after Adani signed a 60,000 crore rupee investment agreement with the Maharashtra government, helping advance projects that formed a part of a broader expansion plan. Now, perhaps each of these policy changes can be explained on their own. For example, airport rules were revised to increase competition. Renewable energy policy was redesigned to speed up green transition. Border area restrictions were relaxed to enable strategic infrastructure. Environmental approval processes were streamlined to encourage faster investment, etc., etc., etc. But when you zoom out, a pattern starts to appear. Across sectors, the same corporate group often emerges as the biggest beneficiary of these shifts. Adani Group, of course, is the most striking example. This is where political economists raise a warning. When the same firms repeatedly gain the most from regulatory change, the risk is something called regulatory capture. That is when boundary between public policy and private power becomes blurred. So much that regulation starts to reflect the priorities of the dominant corporations more than public interest. That's yours and my interest. The consequences go beyond economics. Competition weakens when smaller firms feel the system is tilted. Public trust erodes when the same names keep winning big contracts and approvals. Democratic accountability can also suffer in such situations. This happens when government policy appears to respond more to the interests of powerful corporations rather than the needs of wider public. That sits at the center of the debate over India and the rise of Adani.